Let me welcome Comrade Bashiru Kadiri, the former NLC Vice Chairman, Edo State, a retired Permanent Secretary in the Edo State government. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Duke. God help Nigeria and give us victory.
We also have with us here a former president of the National Union of Local Government Employees of Nigeria, NORGE, Comrade Young Edward Ilenichina. Comrade, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for welcoming here.
Okay, let's get started. Workers' plight is a major talking point, and not just workers alone, Nigerians in general, against the background of some of the economic policies that are on the front burner. But in checkmating those challenges that we're seeing in the economy today, government has brought forth palliatives. Government has brought forth new minimum wage of 70,000 naira. But as all of these things are ongoing on the positive side, you have the overhang of fuel price that keeps going up on a daily basis. You have the overhang of increased tariff for electricity and all other factors. How can Nigerians survive under these circumstances? What can government do more to tackle these challenges? And then there is these threats on the part of labor and ASU. Recently we've seen that the national president of NLC is having a rough path with the authorities, particularly security agents, and there is a threat on the part of labor to go on strike if government does not receive its decision, talking about security agents on that matter. All of this will form part of our conversation. Once again, gentlemen, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Comrade Young. I haven't had you here for a long time. Good to see you. Good to see you. So talk to us. We are here now, and all of these issues are on the front burner. Government says they are doing something, or they are doing a lot. What's your assessment of what is being done to ameliorate the plight of Nigerians under these economic circumstances?
You see, the policies put in place by the government today, they are things that are supposed to have been pre-planned, because they are only reacting to the will and the cry of the public. That is why the palliative is coming. The palliative should have been prepared before their policies are in place. Now, instead of being proactive, they are reacting to the cry of the people. Palliative for how many days? That is the question. You increase salary and the fuel price is up. So what have you succeeded in doing? That 70,000 now, for instance, you take a bus from Aduawa to Ring Road, it's about 500 naira. You do that a day, that's 1,000. You do that a month, that's 30,000. Your house rent is not there. So what have the government succeeded in doing? In creating more problems for these so-called workers. And so, if the government wants to face reality, before you bring up policies, let there be a proactive plan before that policy comes into place. For instance, the government they have in fact removed this tariff from imported food stuff and all the rest, medical issues and all. But that should have been done before the policy came into effect. If that was done, that tariff was removed, let's say in January, we wouldn't have felt the strong effect of the policy of removing subsidy. But what the government did was they removed the subsidy, and when the people are now crying, planning to demonstrate, you are now bringing in palliative. You share a bag of rice, 20 tons or 20 trucks to each state. One trailer of rice, what would that do for Ipobaoka local government? Even if you give them 20 trailers of bags of rice, what would that do to Oredo? Is it only rice they will be eating? So these are things the government should think of. It's not a question of just saying palliative. Palliative what? Is it only rice they will eat? They will transport. They will pay electricity bill. They will pay house rent. So let the government be serious with what they are doing. If you want to take the people serious, come with policy, have a plan, have a roadmap, And I'm quite sure this government don't have a roadmap. I may bold to say, the reason is this. If you have a map, tell the people this is the direction I'm heading for. And the people will now understand the distance it will take to get to their destination. You are telling us you are bringing palliative, removing this, removing that. Have you told the people what you intend to do? The NNPC is running their own government. The government is running their own on oil subsidy. They will open one, NNPC will close it. The fuel we are talking about that we are going to have by August have ended. We are now having high cost of pricing for petrol. So if the government is coming, let them come with a blueprint. What is this government intending to do for the people?
All right, Comrade Kadri, share your thoughts along those lines.
Well, Duke, for me, it was not salary increase that is the subject. Salary increase is just a facade. Yes, people will say yes, salary have increased. I agree. But for me, it was a facade. If you ask me, I know emotions would have raged if I had made a statement that it's not salary increase. Let's look at what we call the economic renaissance. Our economies have to be rejigged. Because if the value of currency is in the roof, whatever you are doing, you're just making a mistake. The more you increase salary, the more the value goes up. And it will crash. So what you do is look at the economics. How do I address the economic issue? How do I give value to the Nigerian currency? How do I give value to the Nigerian people's life? Because when the currency has value, life will make more meaning. Now, I tell you this, Duke. Just imagine many years ago, in the 80s, I mean, thank God I was already working. I started my career in the 70s, late 70s, in my career. I will tell you for free that at that time, a dollar was 65 kobo. I mean kobo, I'm not saying naira, kobo.
$1.
Yes,
$1 was 65
kobo.
Less than a naira. I mean, less than a naira. I guess I'm correct. Naira and kobo, which one is superior?
Naira is superior.
Naira superior.
Thank you. Now, 65 kobo, that was the value of a dollar. So which means it was a 0.0 something value. Duke, I could fly Benin, Lagos, 72 naira, return tickets. 72 naira, I'm not saying 100 naira, I'm not saying 100 naira, I mean 72 naira. I'm not saying 1,000, I mean 72 naira. I mean, I want to be very emphatic here. 72 naira, I'm putting this in perspective so you can understand the point I'm making. Now, if you look at that, it means that you are looking at 36 naira for a journey to Lagos, 36 naira back. Return tickets. We had the airline, Nigeria Airline was in focus. Am I correct?
Nigeria Airways.
It was flying. So you could fly, just book your ticket and you fly. Duke, I could buy a packet shirt for 2 naira 50 kobo. A packet shirt, 2 naira 50 kobo. I'm not telling you jokes, I'm telling you I did. Flying packet shirt, the shirt with high collar. Not the one you have in cover. You put your tie, it stands well. You dress, people say this is a young man. Not now people dress like people looking like street boys and they say they are going to official works. Duke, it was a pride to work in government sector. You were a class when you work in government sector. Duke, when you enter secondary school, you are a secondary student in your community, makes you a superstar already. People see you when you come from holidays, from school holidays. They look at you, with special look. What was that? Secondary school. Why? Because the economy had meaning. Foreigners wished to come to Nigeria. Indians came here as their overseas. They were in all primary schools teaching. Duke, if our currency had no value, nobody will come here.
Absolutely.
Now, which means the economy had value. Now, you could buy a fan for under 100 naira. Now, Duke, your salary was about 96 naira as a clerical officer. On grade level 12 officer was earning 600 naira.
That's the price for two bottles of water today.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I'm giving you this analysis so that we can put in perspective
where we are now.
Where we are now, and why I'm saying that. I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm going to get to my conclusion. Now, what that means is that that particular grade level 12 officer could get a car. As soon as you are hired as a graduate, you can afford to buy a car on a loan. And you pay instrumentally 72 naira now or 70 naira or something monthly. As a fresh graduate from the university, you have a car. You drive a car. Now, what that means is that the best students from the university have automatic employment. Because the best that time was really the best. Not the best from the backyard, but the best from the front. A front runner. When we say a first-class graduate in Nigeria is a first-class graduate, those days you travel overseas to go and school in America, they will see you as a failure in Nigeria who could not go to school here because you don't have the required requisites. And you find that the people run away to go to overseas to go and study, and they come back and say, in Ghana. And we say, this is not in Ghana, it's not the English language. Now, all of these issues shows the level we were and the class we were in terms of economics, in terms of moral, in terms of social, and of course in terms of, if you like, drivers of African economy. That's why they gave us Giant of Africa. Even the average white man wished to be in Nigeria because of the value of what we're running. Just imagine if Naira, if it's 65 kobo to $1. Of course the man in UK wants to come to Nigeria because when he comes here, just 100, 1,000, he makes so much money back home. The way we are talking about now. Now he's in reverse. Now you get $1 for 1,600 naira, $1. Duke, $1,000 gives you 1.6 million. That was the ridiculous nature of the Zimbabwean currency. Today we are here. And so for me, the story of salary increase, we are fine, but it should not be the benchmark.
Okay.
There must be a deliberate decision to drive our economy, to rescue it back. And how do you do that? Backward integration. Production must resume in Nigeria. Not the production in television, production in practice. At that time, this part of the country had oil palm as a driver. In the 60s, that was how the palm house was built and called palm house, because that was the source of our revenue. We were a class, rubber and oil palm. The way cocoa drive the economy in the West, rubber, oil palm drive the economy in the Midwestern region. We had a superb driver.
So we have to drive production.
We have to drive production. And now the issue is this. When people are talking about, oh, this, I said, look, let's look at, I keep talking about causation. How did we derail? What are the cause and factors? Duke, if you arrest the causation, you have arrested the consequence.
Okay, let me pause you there in a moment. I'll come back to you. What do you make of the fact that as bad as things are in the country, we don't seem to see a reduction in the cost of governance in trying to mitigate the hardship that Nigerians are facing? Recently, we saw a judgment on local government autonomy. I know that has been a passion for you over the years. Quickly talk to us along those lines.
Well, the cost of governance from the, let's say, 2015 has really gone up geometrically. And when the cost of governance has gone up, the essence of service, the will to serve the people is not uppermost. Greed is now being exemplified in the public. Now, for instance, up to this moment now, we don't even know what our senators are getting. One senator came up the other day and said, I got so and so amount in my
time.
The rest came up and said, shut up, why will you mention that? That is not correct. And whether Accountant General came up and said, well, officially, I only know we transferred this amount. That is not supposed to be so. In a democracy, the files are laid open for everyone to see. The cost of governance, as far as Nigeria is concerned, is one of the highest in the world. But when you want to rate us economically, we are one of the poorest in the world. Why would the reverse be the case? That we that is being looked at as being underdeveloped or developing, we are now having the high cost of governance than even developed countries. Greed is the issue. Let our leaders be real with the people. Let them make sure this question of having 2 tenure is not helping us. Because what they do in the first tenure is trying to win the people around. But immediately they're through with that 1 year is serving their stomach and building houses, skyscrapers that they will not even live in, become the issue. So if we want to do it, let them come open to us. And again, these politicians that we have, they don't even have manifesto. So that means they have no blueprint of what they want to do. Look back to the 80s when we have Awolowo. You have the MPN, the UPN, the MPP, the PROP. They have manifestos. These ones, ask them, the politicians of today, they don't have manifestos. Because they don't have a manifesto is a direction. This is what I hope to achieve within this space of time. Today, they don't have it. They just come infrastructure, this one infrastructure, speaking the grammar to people. Then, when during Awolowo, he will tell you, I'm facing education, I'm facing agriculture, I'm facing health. That is the driving force. But today, we don't have it. All they just want is grab the power, we'll talk to them later. Grab the power, we'll talk to them later. And again, if you look the system we have, the judiciary, they are aid in making sure things don't work. How long will it take to take up sensitive issues, for instance, after the election? If it is 3 days, decide the matter within 3 days, let those who won the election, let them come to power. But instead, it will take one technicality or the other, creating bottleneck to make sure the will of the people is undermined. So the cost of governance presently is just too high. Let it start from the presidency. And the cost of maintenance, what they do, assistants, aides, and all of them, reduce them. How many ministers do we need? How many aides do we need? You have Minister of State for this. Why not one minister? That is how to reduce cost of governance. So if the government is really serious with the people, you cannot ask us to tie our bed, whereas you're losing your own. So let the government start. Reduce your pay, reduce your allowances to face the present reality, the present economy of our country. Okay. Presently, it is not.
All right, B.S. Kadri, give me your thoughts along those lines.
Well, Duke, I will tell you this for free. First is that I'm not an advocate of, what do you call it now, of this current political class. Well, we must have them. That's the truth. Why am I saying that? You see, in 1999, I like to be very historical because that's the fact. In 1999, when we were having this democracy, there was a suspect. I also give my thought, but let me tell you this. There was a suspect that this democracy will not stand, that military will overtake the place. So the good people didn't come on board. The men who are better described as people who are less in terms of intellectual content, I don't want to use the other word, find themselves in the place, and they took over the lead governance. And so today, for them to go becomes difficult for us. They establish themselves in the place. And what formed their agenda It's not ideological. What from the agenda is simply like the street boy agenda, who lives on daily basis how much I collect and what I get. Tomorrow may not come. And they live like that in crazy drive. And they expand their coast every day that they start. Imagine the young man who is a chairman of one of these outlets in town. And all he does is like come every day and say, chairman, collect the chop money. That's what they do. And every day they increase the money from driver and the tax. So just imagine that kind of mentality now come into governance. What do you expect? Are you going to expect something different?
Absolutely not.
This is the thing. So, like, you see, the fundamental challenge is that the source of those you bring on board as political class, what is their origin? What is their source? And that is where the problem came from. It's like a child that grew up in a home. It is difficult to find, if you find anyone that is not responsible, it's about 1 or 10 or 0.5%. Majority of them will be responsible because they grew up in homes. That irresponsibility is because as human nature, you cannot control all of that. But the level of irresponsibility will be so minimal that it will be swallowed by the responsible people who will now control the person to drive the process well. Now, what has happened here is that the majority of the guys who are now on board are completely, some of them came from the blues. I use the word blues now because their origin was a suspect. Okay? Just imagine a man who used to be a 419er and now becomes a governor. And not just one day, he began that process of becoming governor over time. And the group he belonged to are now following him. What group will belong with? What will they do when they come on board? It's also how to open up the purse. It's now our time. It's now our time. Let's enjoy it. Eat the money. They don't produce. All they do is to eat. Now, that tells you the kind of small picture I wanted to paint in this discussion. Now, just imagine that kind of people are now in power. That's exactly what we are passing through now. In Parliament, some of the parliamentarians were earlier street boys. And it was some, because there are good ones among them, superbly good ones among them, intellectually good. But they are swallowed by the crowd of the guys who came from a background that's a suspect. What do you expect when people from that background become leaders? And they have grown over time now to take over the place. The institution is now their institution. And are you aware that sometimes the criteria to make you a parliamentarian, as it were, is the level of thuggery you have exhibited for the godfather who suggested you to become a parliamentarian. Mm-hmm. And he drives to ensure that you become a parliamentarian so that his interests will be protected in the parliament. And that is why you find out that sometimes this is a global trouble. It's a global trouble. Yeah. Because sometimes you see some parliaments in the world, they fist off in the parliament. Yeah. And it's supposed to be a reference point. Yeah. It's supposed to be a guide. Yeah. Like they say, once you are a leader, watch what you say, where you are found, and what you do. Absolutely. Because you may be the only teacher a young man will learn from. And that young man watching you, taking you as a role model, when he's growing up, he wants to be like you. Imagine some time ago, at one of your programs, Voice Populi, a small boy was asked from a primary school or whatever class, who do you want to be like? And he mentioned a thug in Edo, and he wants to be like that one. Mm. And they tell me, that young man's originally, his psyche has already been tweaked. Now, when that one become somebody in Nigeria, what do you expect from him? Now, and so these are the fundamentals. That's why I said today that if we do not address the causal factor, we are going to continue to ruminate. It'll be like a vicious cycle.
Okay, let me pause it there as we gradually bring this conversation to a close. The NLC, is at loggerheads with the security agents and the federal government over this minimum wage. Some states are still saying they're not sure they'll be able to pay. And then recently we saw the NLC president being called up for questioning relating to security issues. And based on that, we're hearing of threat of strike. ASU on its own part is on a threat of strike. What do you make of this, especially at these critical times?
You see, what we must understand is that this is a democratic period where the people have a right to their own opinion and to express it. the security agencies going after NLC is uncalled for. Are they criminals? They are saying every state must pay the minimum wage. Is that a crime? Do they have talks around them that they use? Who in the world, any governor that will tell us today that they cannot pay that minimum wage, he's deceiving the people. Let the governor tell the people of that state what is their security vote. Let the governor of that state tell them what is his own allowance monthly. Then if it is real, the people in that state will understand. So what they are saying is that they are only just saying, Governor, we cannot pay. Why can't they pay? Minimum wage, the federal government just increased 300% to the judiciary. Is it not the same economy? That a judge now will now have maybe 60-something million. Federal judge will now have a 60-something million or 50-something million a month. Then you are saying 70,000 they can't pay. I think the security agents should realize one thing, that the kind of military junta era that we are no longer there. But if the judiciary was up to their own position as the judiciary, NSC will go to court and restrain them. Let them come with the issue before the court, why they must now gag the NLC and its apparatus.
Okay, comrades, this issue is brewing and is really taking center stage. How long do you think this will last?
Well, you see, Duke, naturally, I didn't expect to have change in the Tea Party. Change does not come in the Tea Party. Change comes with all the kind of push and crisis. Now, I will tell you this. What has happened here is that you are blaming the wrong person for an action you have yourself overtly encouraged. That's the question. Now, if government was proactive, they could preempt those financing some of these terrorist contents. Then they can do their job. Today, I heard people talking about the issue of security of Nigeria. And I simply said that the security of Nigeria is already, there are moles in our security system. And those moles are why the thing is not working. You do all this fantastic planning in your system, the moles give it to the criminals, and the criminals undermine you. So where do you run to? So let not anybody be deceived. Don't blame wrong person. Look for the person that is guilty and blame him. What they are doing now, you are blaming the wrong person, trying to orchestrate the NLC. NLC is only asking questions. Now, that is one. So for me, going after the NLC is not the answer. It shows that somebody is inept somewhere. You are taking NLC as the subject. It's ineptitude. You do not even know what exactly is going on. You don't even know, like you are blank. If you are supposed to be a security agent, you should have enough information, strong enough to make you drive whoever is involved. Now, before that crisis of the end bad governance, where were they? They didn't know what was going to happen. Yesterday, I was talking here on this place, or this your program, and I did mention that what makes a government super duper government is how they are proactive. They are ahead of the crime. So that when the criminals are doing their own, they hit them hard. Not that you are behind the criminals. They will finish before you start coming. Where are they? Where are they? They are gone. And that's exactly the kind of problem we're having. So here we are. Leave NSC alone. Face the criminals. People are behind those criminals. Who are those people? In this country, end bad governance attracted a flag, a foreign flag in our country. Did you ask questions? Have you told us those who are behind those arrangements? Where is it coming from? Nigeria have too many enemies. It's not in doubt. So these countries around us, they see us as, oh, we are too good. So they want to harass us, and they use everything. When they meet you, oh, bros, you are so good. You are a good brother, a big brother. When you are gone, they say, don't mind them. These are the people who come and harass us. Just imagine in Africa here, a Nigerian goes to establish a business in an African country, and the next thing, they attack his business. And when they say why, they say they're taking a job from us. But they will come here and take jobs. Nobody stop them. They do jobs. They get money sent to their people at home. And these are the issues. So for me, government must begin to do some detailed work to crack down what is the fundamental challenge. Why are we where we are? Okay. Leave NSC alone. Then the last I want to mention, sir, is that it is strange for me because I know that the minimum wage law also has provision that anybody who does not pay the minimum wage will be prosecuted. And I want to ask the NLC and my colleagues in the NLC to take that arrangement off. Prosecute whoever does not give you the minimum wage. Now, the minimum wage itself, is it a minimum wage?
No.
Is it a minimum wage?
No.
How much is it? That's what I said there. The governors who are saying we cannot pay now, my question for them is that they should tell the people of that state, declare how much is their monthly income.
Okay, let me get a final word from you, comrade.
Now,
yes.
now, what that means in clear picture is that, one, if you can tell us that detail, which I know they will not, if we put gun on their name, they will not, then we cannot tell you clearly, this is because we know what are the indices put together to bring about minimum wage.
Okay.
Now, let me tell the governors that your comfort is because the workers are working. When the economy nosedive, all the money you think you are going to, you can't get that money again.
Absolutely.
And all your IGR will collapse. The federal government money will collapse because it is the workers that do that job that brings the money that you pay contractors where you get your cut. It's the workers that do that job that makes your economy make sense, that brings money for you. And when the workers decide to crack, look at the other day, there was a strike. Just one day strike. You know how much
Country
Nigeria
was
lost?
shut down. Lenny, let's quickly come to you now for final words on where we are right now and what can be done to remedy the situation. The local government autonomy issue has been there for such a long time. Are we getting there now with recent judgment by the Supreme Court in its favor?
Well, I think I want to really appreciate the Supreme Court for that bold decision, despite the intimidating arsenals the governors put up to defend that old school way of doing things. We are not there yet. What we need to do is very simple. Let the federal government, the same vein, take hold of the local government elections. If that one is done, we'll be able to filter talks out of it, shaft out of the real substance. Because presently now, a governor determines those that will head local government councils because they conduct the election. So you see a situation where you see one party in the state, the same local government, all of them the same party. If INEC is the sole body responsible for that, then we can cure that problem. Then local government will be autonomous indeed. Then when you look at the economy, generally let the government tell us the direction they are heading for. Because presently mere palliative is not the answer. Mere removing of, what do you call it? Import, what do you call it?
Import duty.
Import duty, from it is not the issue. After 5 months, what happened? Do you have a plan to deal with the problem that will come later? We are now almost in the harvest season, or the harvest is almost going up. Let the government come up with an agricultural program. Firstly, let them deal with security. Because if you see now in some states, bandits are killing farmers. Now, can't the government handle that security? Handle the security, bring up agricultural program, then we will now know we are starting off to do something. Address the issue of school dropouts, because if you don't educate the people, you are bringing up a generation of illiterates. Address that. The cost of governance should be reduced. Let the governors show examples. Let the legislators show examples. Let the federal government show examples. Then we will know we are heading for the right direction.
All right, B.S. Kadi, give me your final take on your expectations on the 2024 governorship election.
Beautiful. Duke, I will tell you, my final take is that the people should not look at the tribal definition, not religious affinity. We should look at the quality and the content of the person. We should look at the pedigree of the individuals. Look at their performance indicators in the past. No man can change his history. Nobody.
No man can change his history.
It's correct.
Because what you did 20 years ago remains there. Even if you are now being a good boy, He has not changed the story that you were a thief 20 years ago. And that, of course, is an indicator to show that this person, I'm afraid, he may relapse. Because sometimes we always play to the gallery and believe that people who speak fantastic and clean, who blame others and blame everybody, they will not blame themselves.
Okay.
The people of Edo should sit up and pick among the candidates running now the best, who have a history of performance, who have a pedigree, who have the courage, who have the courage, who of course, if you like, have the humility of a leader.
Okay, all right.
That will be carrying and give us an inclusivity. What has ruined our system is that we have always given it to that one tribe, another tribe. Right. The question is this, that every tribe have the best and every tribe have the worst. Let's pick the best and let us have a better state.
All right, let me get a final word on that. Edo 2024.
Edo 2024, to me, is going to be a good one. But I want Edo people to open their eyes very well. Because it's not money now. We have seen money-backed politics where it has taken us to. This time around, let us pick the best. Forget about the money they are throwing. It's only for one day. The palliative is only for one day. The 10,000 they will give you in the polling booth is only for one day. We are talking of tomorrow. Let Edo people be wise. This time around, let us pick the best. Even if they don't have money, let us put the best in it that knows the direction, and they will give us the blueprint of where we are going.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time with us on the show TMI this lovely Monday morning. B.S. Kadri, thanks a lot for coming. Comrade Young, it's always a delight to have you here.
My pleasure.